Right now, we're following two fires from overnight. First, investigators are looking into a fire at a grocery store in Denver. This is Mi Pueblo Market near First and Knox. The store is already closed for renovations. The Denver Fire Department says the fire only impacted the outside of the building. No one was hurt. No word yet on how the fire started. And then in Parker, South Metro Fire and the Douglas County Sheriff's Office are investigating this barn fire. This is on Patty Lane, right off of East Hess Road. No one was hurt. It's not clear how this fire started.
It has been more than a year since officers in Fortlton put a suspect in a patrol car parked on train tracks before that car was hit by the train. Today, the officer who parked the car on those tracks is set to be in court. Now, this all started with a traffic stop in September of 2022. Court documents say that former Platteville officer Pablo Vasquez parked his car on the tracks. Then another officer put Yureni Rios inside. Then a train hit the car. Rios survived and filed a lawsuit. Vasquez was fired last December. He's facing misdemeanor charges. The other officer, Jordan Steinke, was convicted of 2 misdemeanors in September.
It's the second week in the trial of the paramedics accused of killing Elijah McClain, and it was a rough start for the prosecution. Their own witness didn't provide much useful testimony. Now, as reporter Courtney Yoon joins us now, and Courtney, the EMT who took the stand, had the same answer for nearly every question.
Yeah, that's right, Corey. Austin Bradley was called as a prosecution witness yesterday in the case against Aurora Fire Rescue paramedics Jeremy Cooper and Peter Chikuniak. Bradley's answer was almost the same for every question. I do not recall. Cooper and Chikuniak face charges of reckless manslaughter and assault. They're accused of administering a lethal dose of the sedative ketamine to McClain after police stopped and subdued him. McClain wasn't doing anything wrong. Prosecutors say the paramedics gave the fatal overdose without ever asking McClain a single question or attempting to assess his medical condition. EMT Bradley couldn't recall much on the stand, including whether the two paramedics took any action when McClain begged for help.
Do you remember Mr. Cooper doing anything to address Mr. McClain's statements here? I'm trying, please help me.
I do not recall.
Do you remember Mr. Chikuniak doing anything at this point in time to respond to these statements? I'm trying, please help me.
I do not recall.
Today will be the 5th day of testimony. This trial is expected to go on for at least 3 more weeks.
All right, Courtney, thank you for the update.
This morning, the search continues in Grand County for a missing kayaker in Lake Granby. The Grand County Sheriff's Office says that the kayaker, a 21-year-old man, was kayaking back from Deer Island Sunday morning with a friend when he went under. His friend was not able to save him and called 911 around 6:45 in the morning. Rescuers searched for him until 2 p.m., but they had to stop because of heavy snow and low visibility. Deputies say the search has shifted from a rescue mission to a recovery mission now. Before we get to this next story, we do want to let you know it might be hard for some of you to watch. A new lawsuit says a school resource officer in Cheyenne assaulted a second grader at an elementary school in February of last year.
9 News got the body camera footage, but the moments leading up to the incident have been taken out. An attorney for the family says the deputy involved deleted it. Here's 9 News reporter Kelly Rinke.
The first 4 minutes of this video starts off quiet. There's no sound for the moments before an incident at the center of a federal lawsuit. 9 News obtained body camera video of what happened at an elementary school in Cheyenne, Wyoming last year. The complaint says a school resource officer physically assaulted this 9-year-old boy with a neurodivergent disability. He's talking to his principal at the table. That's all you can see. And what happens next is difficult to watch. There's a very sharp edit cut in the video. The child is screaming on the ground with the school resource officer on top of him.
You cross your legs right now!
We don't know how this happened or why. The lawsuit claims the SRO deleted portions of his body camera video in an effort to conceal his wrongdoing.
No! No, you don't get to win this now. It's all me. Do you understand me?
Before this happens, the complaint says the principal and a teacher were talking to the boy about his behavior at lunch. They didn't ask the SRO for help, but when the child tried to walk away, the lawsuit says the SRO grabbed the boy's arm, took him into a conference room, and slammed his face onto the floor. After this happens, the boy's father comes to the school.
So I don't understand why you're putting your hands on him if he's not hurting anyone.
Because as a law enforcement officer, that's my primary function.
As the student seems to try to catch his breath, the SRO tells the dad he put the boy on the ground after he kicked a chair and fought back.
And he also got a bloody nose. He tried biting my hand. and then I'd put his face on, face down on the ground.
The lawsuit says the SRO violated school policies, and the boy didn't do anything wrong that required use of force.
Fight me again. Fight me again.
Tough to watch. Kelly Rinke reporting there. The Laramie County School District says the deputy isn't an SRO at their schools anymore. According to the lawsuit, the deputy still works for the sheriff's office in Wyoming.
It is now 6:07 on your Tuesday morning, and this week, Colorado Supreme Court will consider whether Donald Trump should be allowed on Colorado's primary ballot. A district court already ruled that he should, but a group of Republicans and unaffiliated voters is appealing that ruling, saying Trump should be disqualified from holding office again. They are citing part of the Constitution that says anyone who is engaged in insurrection cannot hold office. The district court said that there is no precedent that the clause applies to presidents, even though he incited an insurrection. Trump's team is also appealing the ruling because of that part about inciting an insurrection. There are similar cases to keep Trump off the ballot in other states, but this one in Colorado is the furthest along. Now, more than a dozen Republican attorneys general and their state Republican parties have briefs in Colorado's case. They argue this case has national implications, and they all want the court to keep Trump on the ballot.
We are one day away from the next Republican presidential debate, and now we know who will be on the stage. Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, and Vivek Ramaswamy all met the requirements to debate. The debate will be held in Alabama. It's set to start at 6 p.m. This could be the last debate before the Iowa caucuses on January 15th.
Another GOP presidential hopeful has dropped out of the 2024 race. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum announced that he is suspending his campaign. Burgum didn't get enough support to make the stage for tomorrow's debate or the last one. In his announcement, Burgum accused the RNC of nationalizing the primary process. He reiterated calls for Republicans to defeat Biden in 2024, but stopped short of endorsing one of his opponents.
This week, families from Lewiston, Maine are heading to Washington, D.C. to meet with their lawmakers more than a month after the mass shooting there. One survivor and a group of family members are going. They say they still have a lot of questions about what happened that day and the steps that can now be taken. They're planning to meet with all 4 of Maine's members of Congress. Maine Senator Angus King just announced a new gun control proposal called the Go Safe Act. It would limit the number of rounds a gun magazine can have, ban the sale of certain semi-automatic guns, and ban devices like bump stocks that can turn a rifle or a gun into an automatic one. Colorado Senator Michael Bennet is a co-sponsor of this bill.
Right now, Israel is expanding strikes in Gaza. The Israeli army is warning it's now executing ground operations in all parts of the Gaza Strip. Now, this is a map of the area. In the past few days, Israel has started launching strikes in southern Gaza. The army is telling people there to evacuate, but leaders in Gaza claim there is nowhere safe for them to go. So far, almost 2 million people in Gaza have been displaced. According to the United Nations, that is almost 80% of Gaza's population. Now, the World Health Organization is concerned about outbreaks of diseases in Gaza because of the conditions people are living in.
The living conditions there are just appalling. The shelter is poor. Lack of access to clean water. We're hearing, 1 to 2 liters of clean water, of drinking water available for each person per day. We're hearing of 200 people sharing one toilet.
He says there's a huge need for clean water, fuel, and medicine. Israel claims it's trying to get people out of harm's way and protect civilians.
And one thing you want to know about the weather today, we're going to be in the 60s for the next several days. How about your weekend? Well, not so much. 37 degrees on Saturday. Some scattered flurries left over from Friday's snow. And then Sunday, a little better, 47 degrees, more seasonal with partly sunny skies.
Ed, how about we just focus on the next nice few days?
I like that.
All right. I like the look of those temperatures. Right now, I don't like the look of I-25 and 84th. It's a hot mess out here in the Federal Heights stretch. As you can see, we've got a lot of emergency vehicles still out here. A couple tow trucks working to clear a couple of these vehicles. Crews are working to clean out the interstate as well. There was a lot of debris and some sort of spillage. As you can see, down to 2 right lanes open and moving here. But this isn't the only problem. About a half mile back, we've got another crash, and it's blocking a couple right lanes. So this is a very congested stretch. We're tracking almost a 20-minute backup in this area from North Glen down to Federal Heights.
Mark your calendars. The National Park Service just put out its list of free admission days for next year. The first one is on January 15th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. There are 5 more after that. The first day of National Park Week on April 20th, Juneteenth on June 19th, the anniversary of the Great American Outdoors Act on August 4th, National Public Lands Day on September 28th, and Veterans Day on November 11th. You won't have to pay an entrance fee on any of those days, but you still might have to pay for things like camping, boat launches, or special tours.